I know I still have a message to share with people because people are scared and they're confused and they're reaching for what I call our true humanity. Like E.T. was reaching for home. Within us is the real knowing of who we as human beings are, and we're trying to be that. My prayer is that we as humans continue to walk and reach for our true humanity as we find others who are doing the same thing, and then we form community, because community is really, really important. You know, we have this horrible thing in our country where young men are going and shooting their classmates and so on. And I kind of think that maybe these young men are people who have never understood about love and death. You know, you can watch a TV or a program and your hero is alive one day, but he dies in the program, and then the next day he's alive, and then he dies. He always comes back. So maybe they don't have never experienced the death of a pet or a death of a family member, but maybe some of them have never experienced really love. And so if they don't understand the whole process of life and love, they don't understand that when they shoot somebody, they're killing something very, very important. I think that if a child has never experienced love, then it's sort of like if you have a friend who has been blind since birth, and you try to teach them about the color green, they can't understand it because they've never experienced it. If a child has never experienced love and death, how are they going to understand what they're doing, what these acts really are? I think that if we put dogs as guardian dogs in classrooms, we might be able to help these children to do something about this spot in their psyche, which has never been healed. If they had a dog in the classroom, that dog would teach them about love. It wouldn't come up to the child if the child was afraid of him, but the moment the child reached out to them, that dog would be right there with them. And then if that dog died, they would understand. It's a whole idea of having living beings in our care and working with them so that the children who are damaged this way, I don't know that my theory is correct, but if that has something to do with it, I think it would be a wonderful thing to put guardian dogs in classrooms. You'd have a whole new profession. Anyway, I throw that out. Someplace along the line, somebody's going to get that idea, and I think we're going to be able to do it. But when I started school, I couldn't read. Nothing stayed still on a page. And we didn't know about dyslexia. That was not a term that was identified who people like me were. But so I was the class dummy, and I flunked first grade, and I had to repeat first grade. And the teacher called me the dummy. You know, I had this deep soul wounding starting school. And fortunately, at home it was a whole different picture. But at school, I just hated it. I was so afraid. I was so broken. I was so everything. Until I started third grade. But my third grade teacher saw something in me that the other had not, and she appointed me class governor. I mean, I could talk, and I could tell stories, and I could do a lot of things like that, but I couldn't read, I couldn't write, I couldn't add, I couldn't subtract. I couldn't do school stuff. When we started the American Holistic Medical Association, There was 10 of us sitting around, doctors sitting around a table. As we got to talking, we realized that 6 of us were dyslexic. So what it did for us was say, well, that's why we are looking for something different, because I don't know how I learned to read. I don't know how I learned to do the things but there are different ways of learning and practicing and doing things when we begin to look for different ways. And when everything has to be done with a certain protocol and so on, we're leaving a bunch of children, a bunch of people out of the mix, because some of the smartest people around on this planet are people who were in my category of being the class dumbbells, because what made sense to other people didn't make sense to me. So it's the understanding that these things that are part of our very being, if we can understand that you take what you have and you use what you have and make the most of it. And that's the kind of lesson that my mother taught me. Her statement was, well, just make do. And it's been such a helpful thing. You take what you have and you make do. It's so important for us to understand what we teach our children. And these are things that were really brought to me so that I could understand the kind of life that I was going to actually live. And so I had to make do. I had to let go. My mother taught me how to not take things in and say that was horrible. I hurt my feelings. And I could just let it go and say, kuch parwane, it doesn't matter.
I've been looking forward to asking this final question. Dr. Gladys, what's next?
Well, I have a 10-year plan. I don't know whether I'll live 10 years or not. But during this time, I want to be able to work with and create, well, it's already being created, a village for living medicine, where love and life are the center of the whole village. And we have a pattern for the way it can be brought together, and it can happen any place on the earth, where love and life are the central healing aspect of what the village is about. Because life and love are one unit.